بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. We greet you on this 27th day of the month of Jumadi al-Ula with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and our title of this video is the Ukraine war taking us to nuclear war? There are millions and millions around the world who want to know the answer to that question. There are those who already know the answer to the question, but there are so many who are uncertain, and for them we're preparing this short video. And we begin by saying that the United States Armed Forces do not want nuclear war with Ukraine, with Russia. The elite in the United States, those who control power in the United States, they don't want nuclear war with Russia. The same also applies to Europe, that part of Europe which is known as the West. Neither the political leaders nor the military, the armed forces, want nuclear war with Russia, because they know that nuclear war with Russia will be the destruction of both parties, both sides. It's a war which cannot be won by either side. They are convinced of that. And so why would they want a war in which they know they will be destroyed? But they want Russia to be defeated. And so what they're doing is they're pursuing an effort to seek the defeat of Russia without provoking nuclear war. But they've forgotten one thing. Yes, Russia does not want nuclear war. And the West, NATO, does not want nuclear war. But there is someone who does want nuclear war, and that is the State of Israel. And it's not at all difficult for the Israeli Mossad to provoke nuclear war. It's not at all difficult. They are experts, they have PhDs in false flag acts of terrorism. 9/11 takes, of course, pride of place. But so many chemical attacks, and they blame it. They do it and they blame it on others and so on. So what we have is a situation is all that the Mossad has to do is to launch an attack on either side, either the West or Russia. Launch an attack which is a nuclear attack, for example. And before either side could find out who launched the attack, the war would already have been started. Because once there is a provocation and the first missile is launched, the rest will all be launched within seconds, even minutes. So where will you get the time to investigate who provoked it, who is responsible for this attack? So the Mossad is the easiest thing of all for the Mossad is to launch a false flag attack on either side in order to provoke nuclear war. I don't know when the nuclear war will take place, but the answer is definitely, there seems to be little doubt at all left, that this war in Ukraine is going to lead to nuclear war. The Russian government is constantly warning, the more arms you send to Ukraine, the longer the war will last. It makes sense. It is sensible. Instead of sending more and more weapons to Ukraine, you should try to force the two parties to come to the negotiating table, to sit down to negotiate. Russia is prepared to do that. But Ukraine does not want to talk anymore. No. At the heart of this war was a response to oppression. Oppression of the Russian-speaking people living in one part of Ukraine. That is at the heart of the war. But at the heart of this war is also a lust on the part of the Western world to get Ukraine to become a part of NATO and therefore pose a threat to Russia that is unacceptable. The United States also said it is unacceptable for us to have nuclear missiles launched, placed in Cuba. That's what the United States says. We will not allow it. You cannot put your missiles in Cuba. And then the United States placed all his ships to make a quarantine around Cuba in 1962 to prevent any Soviet ships bringing missiles into Cuba, because the United States said this is an unacceptable threat to our security. So why can't Russia also have a security concern? Only you are the ones who can have a security council and others cannot? Are you the rulers of the world? The rest of mankind are only natives? Huh? This is not acceptable to the rest of mankind. And mankind is waking up today. This is miserable double standards. And so at the heart of the war in Ukraine was, first of all, oppression of a people in Ukraine. They have the right of self-determination. They have the right to live in freedom. The Albanians in Kosovo, who constitute the overwhelming majority of Kosovo, yes, of course you have the right to self-determination when Yugoslavia broke up. We accept that you have that right to self-determination, but you must ensure that you do not oppress others. As Ukraine was oppressing Donbass, so too the Albanians in Kosovo were oppressing the Serbs, who are very small in number. The problem in Kosovo is an exact replica of the problem in Ukraine. And so the war in Ukraine began because of oppression of a minority people. And what is happening in Kosovo now is the same thing, the oppression of a minority people in Kosovo, the Serbs. And then came the unacceptable security threat to Russia by NATO's expansion into Ukraine, similar to placing missiles in Cuba that was a threat to the United States. And so Russia is on the right side of history in Ukraine. You can have whatever analysis you want, spreading all kind of lies and propaganda about how they raped so many children and they attacked so many hospitals and there were so many. We've heard it so many times. It's a playbook of all these accusations which are launched against people in war propaganda. That's all it is, war propaganda. We've heard it again and again and again. Don't bother to repeat it to us anymore. Russia is on the right side of history. When Russia intervened to protect the interests of those who are being oppressed in Ukraine. Russia tried and tried and tried to get an arrangement where they would be protected, but it never worked. One of the amazing things which have come out of this so far is that the former German Chancellor, Angela Merkel, who was just confessed that yes, we negotiated the Minsk Agreement, 1914 or 15, 2014 or 15. But we did not do it in good faith. We did not negotiate with you in good faith. No. We negotiated that agreement with you merely to get time. In cricket it says it's called praying for time. No, in the Quran Allah says, Kulu qawlan sadira. Don't speak with a crooked word. Don't negotiate in a crooked way. Kulu qawlan sadira. Speak in a way which is plain and straightforward. Awfu bil uqud. You must, when you give your word, you must keep your word. They don't play for time in negotiations. Pacta sunt servanda. Obligations, treaty obligations must be honored. This is at the beginning of Surah Al-Ma'idah, and this is the foundation of international law. Pacta sunt servanda. They taught me when I was a PhD student at the Graduate Institute of International Studies in Geneva. A Polish professor taught me international law. She was from Poland. Pacta sunt servanda. Treaty obligations must be honored. And this is the Chancellor, the former Chancellor of Germany, admitting and confessing, no, we did not negotiate in good faith. No. This is yet another coffin, another nail in the coffin of modern Western civilization. That this is not a civilization that can survive in history. I made a previous video in which I asked, is Pax Americana now in permanent decline? What is lacking in our scholarship in the world of Islam is the capacity to use the Quran and the prophecies of Nabi Muhammad ﷺ to understand the reality of the world today and to anticipate what is coming. And what I have realized from my study of the Quran is that it is just a matter of time now. We might witness over the next year, complete year, a continuation of what is happening in Ukraine now. If this winter is a catastrophe for Ukraine, the next winter would be worse for Ukraine. Because Russia is fighting on her doorstep. And the West and the United States are far away from Ukraine. So you can't beat Ukraine in her next door neighbor territory. And so it is a matter of time before the nuclear war takes place. But it is Israel which will determine when the war takes place. Why would Israel want nuclear war? Those of you who have studied Islamic eschatology, you know it. But the others who are not studying it, we don't know. Answer: the footprints of Dajjal are always in three parts. And we have said, in Taliku ila zillin zi thalathi shu'ab, in Surah Al-Mursalat, that the three parts of Dajjal's shadow, first of all, Pax Americana, first of all, Pax Britannica, and then Pax Americana. And then Dajjal is going to attempt to give us a Pax Judaica, which is lasting for just a day, like a week. That's all. But a Pax Judaica cannot take place until and replace Pax America unless Pax America is sent out into the sunset. And it seems to me that that is what is now happening. And so in order for Pax Judaica to replace Pax Americana, a nuclear war must take place. which will bring about the end of modern Western civilization as a strategic actor on the stage of the world. Only then. Well, Israel is hoping that the nuclear war will also cause Russia and China to also be damaged in such a way that they also will no longer be strategic actors on the stage of the world. And so the coast will now be clear for Israel to become the new ruling state in the world, and for all of mankind to have Jerusalem as the capital of the world, and for a false Messiah to stand up in Jerusalem and to say, I am the Messiah. All of this is in my book, Jerusalem in the Quran, which was written 22, 23 years ago. Islamic scholarship does not want to respond to that book. Islamic scholarship cannot respond to it. They don't have the capacity to respond. Hopeless, they will never respond to it. Even if they understand it, was scared to respond to it. So leave them alone. We'll move on even if we have to move on alone. So yes, we say our conclusion is that the war in Ukraine is taking us to nuclear war. How do we prepare for nuclear war? I've already recorded a video for that, but in this video we want to confirm our view that we are moving to nuclear war. I don't know how long it will take. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.